Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. I'm Rosemary Bray McNatt. It's my honor to serve as president of Starr School for the Ministry, and this is my Facebook Live appointment with all of you. I know that people will kind of be logging in and out, but it is kind of 30 minutes a day for this next 5 days, so I can be in touch with folks. Perhaps answer any questions that you might have about what's going on out at the school. For those of you who are out east, we're out west. Today is a rainy day in Oakland, California, where I am, and I'm delighted because rain has become a very precious commodity. It's the one of the many things I've learned in being out here in this part of the world. So I want to thank you for joining me. Before I say anything else, I want to make sure that you know that above everything else, the most important thing to us is the health and the safety of Starr King students and the faculty and the staff. It's my top priority. And even though we are in a very significant crisis right now, I just want you to know that all of the Starr King community is precious to me and important to me. So I'm so glad I have good support and counsel to think about those things, especially our Dean of Faculty, Gabriella Latini, and our Dean of Students, Chris Schilling. It was in conferring with them that we closed the school on the 9th of March. So I like to think that we did our part as soon as we could to help to flatten the curve. And I also have begun to get word from people outside of the Starr King community about how this coronavirus has affected us, affected them in real time. I have a couple of friends who have it now. They're resting at home and they're doing fine. And a few circles out, I have colleagues who have lost congregants. And so I just want to lift up for a moment those people who are struggling with coronavirus, the communities that have been impacted by that, and offer our prayers and our desire to hold them in the light right now at a really tough time. I also really want us to lift up the people of Italy who are struggling so very desperately. I'm sure you've seen the reports. And we have some ongoing information from Gabriella Latini, whose family is still in Italy. And so far, all is well with her immediate circle, but it is a very, very difficult time there. And so please hold them in your prayers as well. If you're interested in more response to the school's coronavirus planning and activity, please go to sksm.edu. There'll be information posted there. And thanks to our fabulous staff like Xander Huffman, we keep that updated pretty regularly. When we have news, we let people know. I want to talk a little bit about something that's been on my mind, and I think that that's how to maintain our sense of joy and hope and possibility, even in the face of difficulties like the ones we're facing now. It's important, I think, for us to tap in wherever we can to the sources of joy and the sources of resilience. Help us go through this very difficult moment in the life of the world, really. The thing that I'm most reminded of is my experience as a brand new parish minister in New York City after September 11th. And it was an amazingly complex experience because there was this underlying sense of difficulty, and it was real. and the fear and the uncertainty because we didn't know what was coming next. But at the same time, there was a curious sense of joy, not happiness, not happy talk, but this sense of community that almost always arises out of a sense of deep pain and loss. The possibility of that exists in almost every situation. It isn't always possible to reach it immediately. And so I want to honor people who are really frightened right now and really unsure about what to do and about what comes next. But what I can say from my experience in living in New York through those very difficult months is that once the initial shock and anger and fear passes, there are moments of real community that are possible, moments of real hope that are possible. And the more you can tap into those sources of hope and of strength, the easier it begins to find a way forward. It's hard at first. You don't know what to do next at the beginning. But every experience we have of joy or community or humor helps to clear a little of the fog. At least that was true for me. And I was blessed because I had small children at the time. And they are very different in the face of this kind of uncertainty. They are sometimes afraid and sometimes very upset, but they also know how to play. And they also know how to laugh. And there were days when I took my cues from them because it was really important that I help keep joy in their life. And in doing that, I had some help in finding joy in my own. So I've tried to remember that in this case. Those little kids are now young adults. And so I try to check in with them. I look at the funny memes they send me. Some of them not necessarily suitable for work, but hilarious just the same. I now understand the value of puppy videos. I have a dog, and Lucille is pretty funny all on her own. But I have to say that puppy videos have been a source of great amusement to my husband and myself. Cat videos too. And I've been going back in my store of funny things to read and memes from my friends. I think anything that makes us laugh right now, even for a moment, is a good thing. It helps to clear the fog, and it helps to settle us. I'm not a great meditator, but even I have begun to understand the resilience that you can gain from a certain amount of silence and chatter-free time. And I'm learning to turn off the news, which is really hard for me because I am a journalist and a news junkie. So I feel like I have to constantly be switching channels, and I actually have a service on AT&T Universe TV that allows you to have all the different news channels. I could see what people were saying, and I had to give that up. I really did. So I think that you should, wherever you can, restore your sense of resilience with whatever tools are at your disposal. The things that make you feel good or grounded or happy, This is the time to do more of them, and as many of them as you can manage. Some of us have the luxury of working at home, the privilege of working at home. And so we can take advantage of that, and we should. If you have people in your life who don't have that privilege, think of what you might do for them. Think of how you might help bring some humor or joy into their life. They may not be able to stay home. They may not have the kind of job that allows it, and they may have the kind of role that is deemed an essential service. And so they will be working while we're at home working or taking a nap. And let's do what we can to support our friends and our families and people that we might know who don't have the privilege that we have of being at home. I just want to also say that I'm really grateful to be working in an institution that has that capacity, the capacity to work at home and allows our students the capacity to study at home or wherever they are. I'm proud of Starr King for being a 21st century learning institution, and we've been doing this, wow, almost 20 years now. I think we taught our first online course at Starr King in 2001. And that was at a time when people thought the internet was just this neat little fad that wasn't going to last very long. And of course, nobody should really take it seriously enough to try to educate that way, because nothing would ever take the place of face-to-face interaction in the classroom. And in some ways, that's true. It's not the same as interacting face-to-face in a classroom, but it does allow for an amazing depth and breadth of learning. It's just different. And I think that I'm very grateful to lead an institution that has always believed in that capacity and has refined that capacity over time. We have a great online learning director, Hugo, and we have the support of many people at the school, including Gabriella and Chris. Our faculty is profoundly flexible and facile at doing these online classes. And so in an early part of March, when we made the decision to move the school online, it was not as difficult for us as it was for all of the other schools in the GTU. I was on a call with a couple of the presidents, and one of the presidents said that one of the benefits of having to live in these days is that it finally got the people at his institution to take seriously the idea of online teaching, because before that, he could not get people to look at that. I feel that this ability to continue while school's going on, while the semester is going on, really allows us to live into our mission to educate UU and multi-religious leaders. And it's kind of a life tutorial in the flexibility and innovation that ministers are going to need in the coming months and years. So we get to live that out in real time. And I'm very proud of not only our faculty, but our students who are leaning into this and offering their support and help wherever possible. And this kind of eagerness to lean into something new is one of the things that gives me the most hope in these days. Because we all know, we don't know how long this is going to happen, how long this is going to go on. We don't know what other kinds of measures we will have to embrace in the coming weeks and months. But what I feel confident about and hopeful about is Starr King's capacity to meet that challenge, the way we meet all the challenges we face. We have a resolute core of commitment to this work. And we are prepared to do this work of educating Unitarian Universalist ministers and progressive religious leaders of all faiths. And we live in it every day. And we continue to live in it and through it right now. I also want to say something to those of you who might be listening who are either thinking about coming to Starr King or thinking about ministry, or who are concerned that perhaps they aren't going to be able to follow that dream and that goal. I want to encourage you to continue to be open to the possibility that you're being called. There are moments in our lives where things seem unworkable, undoable. But it's been my experience that when we are called to a work, the way to do that work opens for us if we remain faithful to what we're being asked to do. If you've been thinking about a religious calling, if you've been thinking about ministry or about being more active in sacred social change, Starr King may very well be the place where that dream can be realized. I want to encourage you to keep thinking about that, to keep praying about it, and to avail yourself of the information that we have available for you. We're all still at work, so if you want to continue thinking about your call in the light of these events, we're happy to talk with you. We have an virtual open house that we've been doing for a while. We did one every month where people get to sign in and talk to our vice president for our recruitment, Rain Jordan, and our admissions coordinator, Matthew Waterman. We do them every month. This particular month, it is March 31st, and it's from 5:30 to 6:30 Pacific time. If that's not a good time for you, you shouldn't hesitate to go on the Starr King website and click on information about applying to school so that someone can get back to you to help you reflect on it. Discernment is very much a part of this process. The coronavirus crisis that we're in may be calling us to deeper discernment and a different kind of discernment. But we want you to know that we're here to continue to reflect with you about it. You may, in fact, be called to such a time as this. And if there is a way for us to make that possible for you, we want to do our part for that. Self-care, I want to also remind you that we get through these kinds of situations by putting our own mask on first, to use that old airline metaphor. Put your own mask on first. Take care of yourself. It's really important. And the more people that you have who depend on you, who rely on you, the more urgent that self-care need is. But even if it's just you, even if you're living alone, you need to care for yourself. You need to find moments of peace and moments of humor and moments of in the middle of all this. And I can't encourage that enough for you. It's important. So we have about 10 more minutes. to answer any questions that you might have. I'm looking over at the chat, and it's so good to see all of you. It is lovely to see you, Elaine, and Matthew's here, and Jessica's on, and Sophia's on. Hi, Sophia. And let's see, who else do I see? Zab Green, how wonderful. Mary Catherine, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad to see all of you here. Well, I'm going to be doing this all week. Oh, Arliss is on. Hi, Arliss. Amanda's on. Nancy Lawrence. This is wonderful. Hi, everybody. Hey, Kim. I see you. Hi, Meg. Susanna Tuttle's on. Xander's on. This is lovely. So I hope that I get a chance to see all of you here, at least for a minute every day. I want to check and make sure that there are no questions. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Sophia. It is a privilege to work with you too. Therese, how are you? It's lovely to see you too. I just want to, oh, hi, Marlene. I didn't see you there. Hi, it's good to see you. We have graduates online here today. This is really lovely. And I see people are connecting in different ways on the chat. I just feel very blessed. Is there a website for the virtual open house? What a wonderful question. Let's find out. I think it's actually available right there. Thank you, Matthew. Do you see what a great community we have? So please make a copy of that link. Thank you, Matthew. Oh, thanks, Sophia. And sign in. Feel free to chat with us and consider what's next in your life. I'm just wanting to make sure. And I like your comment, Matthew. When we are called to do the work, doors to make it happen open. That has absolutely been my experience. And I think that it's an experience that you will find is replicated by so many of us. Be nice to a person. This is a little non sequitur, but still. Be kind to the people who you are in touch with out in the world, who are bagging your groceries or filling your prescriptions or doing many of the other things out in the larger world, especially if you're in a city like Oakland, which, like all of California, is on a shelter-in-place order. We're sort of calling it a lockdown because sometimes that's how it feels. But I had to go out and fill a prescription the other day, and I was just so struck by how faithful these folks are, how faithful the folks are in the grocery store, and they're working even when they don't have equipment to work with. Some of them didn't have gloves. Some of them didn't have masks, though they didn't necessarily need them, but they see such a volume of people that there are several communities that really regard their work as high-risk work, not as high risk as folks in the hospitals. And I also want to truly ask for your prayers for all of those folks who are working in healthcare right now. I have several friends who work in hospitals right now. My sister-in-law is a lab technician at one of the biggest hospitals in Chicago. And a dear colleague is director of pastoral care at Sloan Kettering in New York City. Many of these places are at the epicenter of this very, very dangerous virus. Right now, they have what they need, but we all know that that is a situation that is fraught with difficulty. So I ask for your prayers for the ones we know and the ones we don't know, so that they might stay healthy and safe to help keep us healthy and safe. Hi, Lee. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Uh, Lee Barker's on, my colleague and former president of Meadville. It's lovely to have you here. Um, and yes, we are theologians in residence. We just happen to be in residence somewhere unusual. Thanks, Zeb, for that too. I want to answer any questions. If there are any questions that people might have. But if anybody has any comments about how they are connecting to joy and resilience right now, if you type them in the comment, I'll try to read them. Hi, Shelley. Good to see you. I see new comments. Hi, Gary. Lovely. Thank you for your prayers. Gary Simpson says he's been praying for Starr King administrators and faculty and staff and students. Prayer is always welcome. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So I like this. I'll be back tomorrow. And thank you for that recommendation, Jessica. Tip the people who help us. Remember that some of them are not making as much money as they used to. This is especially important if you're getting a takeout at a restaurant. Some of the restaurants here are still open, but only for takeout. And some of the restaurants are staying open as a way of trying to keep their folks on the payroll. So everything that we can do and everything that we can spare to tip them is welcome. So what would you like? What am I talking about tomorrow? I think that I'm going to talk tomorrow about some of our forthcoming partnerships. And some of the partnerships that are going to be opening up to us because of our co-location to be with Mills College in Oakland. And so tune in tomorrow and we'll be talking a little bit about that. I want to close with a prayer, but not before I lift up Sophia's comments about supporting the small businesses that you usually support. If you can pay somebody in advance for something that you can get later, if you can just make a contribution so that they have a little money coming in, if we all did a little bit of that, I think that we could help our local folks a lot. Wherever you are, the local folks are struggling. And so do what you can to be helpful to them too. Thank you for that, Sophia. Let's enter into the spirit of meditation and prayer. Gracious Spirit of all life, God of many names and one abundant love, we thank you for the gift of community. We thank you for the capacity to be in community even when we are physically far away from one another. We thank you for the blessings of technology. Used well, it is such a beautiful and important tool to create community, to advance learning, and to do the work to which we are called. We ask your special blessing for those who are ill and for those who are suffering now, whether it's coronavirus or something else. We ask that you bring them grace and peace. We ask that you place a special hand on those who are working to help us as we move through these times. The grocers and the pharmacists, the doctors, and the delivery people. We ask that you give them strength and endurance. And I ask finally that you bless all those who are here, all those who are doing the work that you have called us to do, that we continue with strength and that we find joy in the little things. We ask these things in the name of all that is holy. Amen. I'm so glad you were here. I'm so glad that you could be with us. And I hope that you'll join me tomorrow. same time, same channel. And I hope that you have a blessed and beautiful day. Take good care.